Hi and welcome back to the next episode of Up the Shed. This week we're going to be making a thread whipping jig. So this is going to be out of scraps and bits and pieces that I've got laying around the shed. I'm hoping to have a project come in the next couple of weeks where I'll actually be taking a fly fishing rod and just doing some rejuvenation and maybe some repairs to it, fixing the eyes on there, or I think they're called followers or guides, and basically where your fishing line goes up the rod through the guides, those guides are normally whipped on, and there's thread that's wound around the actual rod and the foot of the guide, and that's normally called whipping. So as I say, we're going to make a little jig that will help us do that. So I'm going to get you into the bench. We'll go through some of the bits and pieces that I've got, and then we'll just cut some scrap wood up, we'll drill some holes, we'll fix it together, and hopefully it works. Okay, well, as you can see at the bench, so I've got a piece of, this is actually 1/4 but a bit of 6mm rod. I've got some washers, I've got some nuts, I've got a spring. I'm just using some normal cotton thread just to for the process to make sure this actually works, sort of thing. And I've got another spring here to use as a tensioner, I'm hoping, for the actual thread itself, and a couple of screw-in eyes, and then just various bits of, you know, timber 3x2, say a scrap bit of ply, 2x1, 2x2. I've got a bit of MDF on the floor there. I've got some 4x2 laying around. So yeah, I just need to do some measurements really. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take all my scrap bits, we'll take them outside to the saw bench out there, the sawhorse, and I'll set the camera up out there. We'll do some rough measurements and draw some lines, and then we'll get the hand tools out and start cutting. I'm going to try and do this as much as possible with the use of very basic tools. So, you know, if you've got a drill, a hand drill or a battery drill, then perfect, electric drill. Essentially we're just going to be drilling and screwing things together, and then there's a hole we're going to need to drill, just so that we can actually, like a little cup, cup sort of thing, to actually lay the rod in as we're doing the whipping process. So but we'll go through that, and then it'll just involve obviously normal screws, drill bits, maybe a Forstner bit or a spade bit, something like that, to do this larger hole. But as I say, we'll get set up outside, and we'll get some measurements. There's no drawing. It's just literally, you know, we're going to make it as we go along. So let's get to it. Okay, well, I think I've got all my bits and pieces that I need out here. So we're going to do a base of 300 by somewhere around the 400 mark. I think this is actually 450, this piece, so we'll give it a quick measure up. So yeah, 450. So I'm just going to leave that, make it nice and simple. So that will be in the centre of in the bench, sort of places to clamp down. So I've got a piece of 4x2 here. We're going to drill a hole through and put that 6mm rod through to hold the thread in place. So I reckon that needs to be, I don't know, let's go, we'll go 10 inches on that. That gives us plenty of height to adjust, and this will be twofold. This will be twofold actually, so this will allow us to not only fix the rod through, but we're going to come down to one of those eyes, across to an eye, and this will come up, and that spring that I showed you earlier, that will be our tensioner. So this actual part will end up being dead centre when we mount this, so that the tensioner spring is in the centre of our workpiece as such. Yeah. So I think that'd be good, 10 inches. And then I want a couple of upstands with a hole cut in, so that we can actually turn the rod when it's on there. So I'm thinking these need to be maybe, I don't know, 2.5 inches maybe, something like that. So if we go, we'll go 6. Let's go 3 inches, I think. And again, if it's wrong, we'll adjust it, we'll cut it down, we'll do whatever. It's a crappy bit of timber. Let's do it again. Again, this is, you know, this is all rough and ready. Nothing really exact. Just want to line through the middle somewhere. Drill a hole. Okay, so let's start cutting. So I've got an old saw here for the MDF. MDF Rex saw blades, like nothing. So we'll cut the dry timber first. If you can't see that. Move you around a bit, shall we? I must be thinking you've seen thousands of people cut a piece of wood, but now I've seen 1,001. In actual fact, I might do that again because it'll be easier to drill this hole out and then cut these off individually. So, yeah, mistake number 1. Now again, if you've got a table saw, if you've got a jigsaw or a bandsaw, then make your life as easy as possible. I just felt like today that I'd use the hand tools as much as possible. Okay, so that's our upstand piece, which we're drill a 6mm hole through. Okay, change that piece up. Say this is an old saw, so what I tend to do, if once I've had a saw for a while or it's got a little bit blunt from cutting normal timber, I'll keep it for things like MDF or ply. Tend to work really well. So this is our base. So we want 450, so 225. Line there, and that's going to be our our base there. And as I say, we'll have a thread coming through here. It'll come down across and up through that spring, and then our actual rod will be here, and we can turn it. This will get tension. So that's cool. So we'll drill a couple of holes through this and then screw this on from the back. Yeah. Make sure we drill that hole first, I suppose. And then we've got our two 3x2 upstands here. So I'm going to go and get a drill and a couple of drill bits, forcing a bit, and I think we'll do this, as I say, we'll mark this piece up again, we'll drill it, and then we'll cut the pieces off, so that it'll be easier. So I'll bring you back and let them drill. Okay, so we've got our 3x2 here, so we're going to go 3 inches and 6 inches, or 75 and 150 mil. As you can see, I've got a spade bit in a battery drill here. Obviously, if you didn't have a battery drill, then cut it and file it. It doesn't need to be, you know, a massive hole. It just really needs to be like a small divot as such that allows you to have a place to locate the rod while you're spinning it around. You know, while you're whipping it. I'll just, you know, this is the only spade bit I own, so this is the one I'm going to use. Just to stop breakout. Once you go through, feel that little point on the other side, turn your wood over, come up on the other side. Nice and easy. Okay, so what we're going to do now is cut both bits off. Good, okay, so that's going to be set up. So we'll have our 4x2 back here with our threaded rod on and our thread there, and then we'll work out where we need these. I must be putting them right on the far corner, to be honest. We'll give this a bit of a sand, make it a little bit nicer inside, and that will give us a location and plenty of room between to be able to spin the rod when we're whipping the eye. Now, if the eye or the guide is in the middle, I might actually push this to one side slightly, just so that we're actually on the... Some eyes just have like, you'll have your eye at the, or the guide at the top, and then they sort of come down on a couple of legs sometimes, and then they'll just have one foot, something like that, and then you get others that are dual fits in point, you know. A lot of the older style, I believe. I'm no fisherman. I'm just sort of what I've seen, guessing sort of thing, you know. So, so we'll see what we're going to do here. But no, I'm going to leave it in the middle. Leave it in the middle where we said. So I just need to mark these up so we can get a few drill holes. We'll just drill some holes all the way through the base, and then we'll get back inside the shed and get some screws through these and get them fixed in place. We might even use a bit of glue, and then we can look at fixing the other eyes and bits and pieces onto this prior to fixing this piece down. So cool. So I'll have a little bit of clear up and I'll see you back at the bench. Okay, well, as you can see, we're back at the bench. All I've done is I've secured a piece of scrap 2x2 to the base, just so I can hold it in the vise, just to keep it nice and steady. And I've just drilled 2 holes for the 4x2. So I've marked out around the bits of 3x2, and I'm just going to do a centre line and then just pick a couple of points, transfer them down. Again, nothing perfect, all rough and ready. And what we'll do is we'll take a 3mm drill bit, and like all the screws I'm using, these are just from wherever. They're not brand new screws in any way, shape or form. They're just whatever I've got laying around. I've actually got a couple of boxes that have all of my, I wouldn't say scrap screws in, but they've certainly been used at least once, you know. So so just a good way of reducing waste, obviously, and being able to reuse. That's the wrong size bit in there. Wow, it's not liking that, is it, at all? So let's still the wrong size, isn't it? Let's try one more. I think these screw heads had it. Yeah, this is that one. Let's try a newer old one. That's better. Should really get myself one of them impact drivers, shouldn't I? They seem to be a lot better than a standard one. Okay, there's that one. Okay. Right, so all we need to do now is drill the hole for the bar to come through, and we're going to, so I can get this in view, just got a spring here, compression spring, or is this a tension spring? Tension spring I think this is, with a little screw at the end just jammed in there. And what I've decided is that I'm just going to come down from the top and make a mark. Take a Bradle and give us some starting point there, and then we're going to transfer that across. And we'll push a 6mm hole through there now somewhere. I've got here. That'll do. This is a 6.2. Oh dear, not very straight, was it? But doesn't matter. Okay, so what I need to do so now that no doubt I'm going to struggle to get this attached to this without any help, so I'm going to get this done off camera, and then what I'll do is I'll bring you back when we're setting up this assembly and the eyes on the main deck there. Okay, so gonna so we've got a washer both sides of the piece of timber. I really wish I'd drilled that straight, but too late now. I'm not going to worry about that, to be honest. We're just wrong size. Tighten that up, and then we've got a spring, and I'm going to go with a washer, and I found a nice it's a nice thick thread indoors, so we'll put that on next. I'm going to go another washer, and then two nuts, and then I'll be able to set the tension that I want, against the spring and then lock it off. Okay, so I'm just going to get that up there for now. That feels good. Okay, so as I said, I've got a couple of these are just little eyes that you would normally get for like pictures, and the back of pictures to put a picture wire on a frame. So I'm just going to run these to some sort of location really. So let me just move you slightly so I can get you a better view. So I'm looking to have one sort of out a bit and directly in line with the centre of the thread. So I think we're going to go one somewhere about there. And then what I need to do is come across and then sort of up to here. So I think I'm going to have one, yeah, most probably in line with it, but in the centre of this piece of wood. Okay, so again I'm going to use the Bradle to sort of get us started. And I just tend to use a small Allen key in there just to make it nice and easy to get in. I want this one to be angled across. And that one most probably that way. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take the thread through this one, back through this one, and then make sure you can see that. No, you can't. Just let me bring you back up here. And we're going to take this through the spring, which will then come down to what we're working on. And as you can see, that is under tension there. Yeah. So all the while I'm holding it, it's trying to pull it back, and it will keep an amount of tension against the rod when I'm rolling it around. I might have a stronger one of these somewhere, in which case I might change it out because there's not a lot of resistance there. Maybe I could put I might end up putting some sort of clip up here maybe, but that pulls through there quite nicely. Maybe loosen this off a little bit. Yeah, I like that there. Cool. So I think we're sort of there really. You can hear that buzzing. Just had a blue bottle fly into the shed. Okay, so I'm gonna I've got a piece of I'm not sure what this came off, a bit of scrap I'm gonna put in the jig, and I'm just gonna bend up a little piece of metal just to make a little leg sort of thing, and then we'll try it out and see how it goes. So once I'm in a position where I'm ready, I'll bring you back. Okay, well, hopefully you can see that. So there's a couple of things obviously you need when you're going to do the whipping. You need a loop of thread to pull the end of the actual line back through under the final bit of whipping. Obviously a knife. You need the eye. So what I've done, I've just bent a piece of metal to represent an eye. I've just got a bar to represent obviously the rod. So you just tape the eye or the follower, guide, whatever you want to, I don't know what they're called, whatever you want to call it, and you bring your thread down, and you need to make sure that you're on the correct side. So if you're whipping to the right, then the tail that you've got, or the start of the line, needs to be to the right of the main thread. Obviously if you're whipping to the left, it needs to be to the left, because what you're going to do is as you rotate your rod, you're going to obviously go over this and actually now I'm going to have to hold this because this is obviously very slippery. You'll mostly find that with your rod that wouldn't be the case. Okay, so we essentially start from where, as you can see, we're off the eye there, or where the eye would be, and we can obviously just keep going this round and round and round, and at some point we'll get to a place where we think, right, well in actual fact I've now got enough, and you can see the threads just starting to get tension there off the main spool. Okay, so you get to a point, and what you then need to do is actually cut this off. So you need to either get a single-sided blade or a very sharp scalpel, and you just cut this away, making sure that you don't cut the main line. Okay, so I've got about 6 or 7 turns there. So from there, all we would do, this would normally slope up. They tend to have a slope. So then we would just, you know, as I say, keep rolling this around. We can move this to space the line or the thread. You know, we can use our fingers to push it, and then we obviously just go to the end. So I'm just going to whiz to the end. Obviously once you get to the tape and it's secure on there, you can take your tape off. I'm just going to cut this off because it's on a piece of metal, so it won't matter. Yeah, so you cut your tape off, and then it's the same detail when you get there. Now when you get close to the end, so about an 1/8 of an inch or 3mm from the end, what you want to do is place your loop in to into the actual whipping, and it's normally done opposite the, I'm going to put just a few more on there just to keep these in place. So it's normally done on the back side. So once you've got the eye facing down, you place your line through, okay, and then you just carry on doing the whipping like you was before. So again, you're going to get sort of, I don't know, maybe 6 or 8 turns or whatever you're going to need in there, yeah, and you just keep going round and round and round. Obviously yours would be a lot neater than mine is at the moment, and I can assure you when I actually do the project it'll be a darn sight neater than this. Will take your time, but in the interests of camera time and my battery, we'll trying to get through it again. So this is on the back. So once you get to the point where you're just coming to the actual feet that come off the eye, where it actually hits the base of the eye, the guide, that's sort of where you want to stop. So you can then bring the line here. You can just pull off a little bit of slack, so you just need to hold the here to get the tension, yeah, and then a pair of scissors or a scalpel blade, and then just cut your line. Okay, and from there what you need to do is this line needs to come through the loop. It's a little bit fiddly, a little bit tricky. Okay, and then from here what you do is you actually pull on your loop, and what it does, it will pull the line under your whipping. Yeah, so as I say, this will be sort of 1/8 of an inch or 3mm or 6, but obviously if you've got it nice and tight, this won't come out. And then again, you take your scalpel, lay it flat on the what's the name, and then cut that away. And if you don't have any fray bits, it looks good. So as you can see, although it's not exactly perfect, you've got the idea that you start the whip before the actual eye, you trap your lead thread, under about an 1/8 of an inch to 3mm, you know, 6, 7, 8 turns, whatever it takes. You know, you make them as long as you want, and then you whip up the base of the guide or the eye, and then when you get about an 1/8 of an inch from the end on a single eye, then you put your loop in, you know, your knotted loop in or whatever, and then pull it back under. As you whip round, you then pull it back under the last 1/8 of an inch. Obviously, if you've got a double eye, a double base on a single eye, what you would do is you would start the whip before, you would come up, and then when you get to the base where it tends to split, you tend to have like a V. Some of them have a V going up to an eye in the centre. You would do, you know, one this side, and then you would, as you go around, you'd make sure that your line sort of goes across and then hits the other side of the base, and then you just continue the whipping down, and then you would come off the actual base of the leg. You would go again 3mm, 1/8 of an inch, whatever, and then again, then you would put your line through, you know, you'd put your loop through and pull your line back. And then I believe these would get varnished, you know. The rod that I'm potentially going to do is a bamboo rod. It's not for use, it's just for show. It just needs a bit of a sort of, you know, renovation or whatever, just to make it look nice. It's going in a frame, and then you would varnish these to hold them in place, or, you know, just varnish the whole lot, or lacquer, whatever, just to hold this whipping in place, and that's really it, you know. And then you just go down the line, down the rod, all the way down to the tip, obviously. So yeah, so nice and easy. So as you can see, it's a very, very simple jig to use, and it's taken me, what, I don't know, a couple of hours, 2-3 hours, and although some of it's not perfect, it does the job. Well, that's the end of this little episode. Hopefully you've enjoyed coming along and seeing me making this thread whipping jig. As I say, it's all scrap. It's cost me time, you know, and a few screws and a bit of thread. I've actually got some proper fishing rod like whipping thread on the way to me. And then once the rod gets here, I'll go and get some eyes and maybe a new cork handle and stuff like that. And I'm looking to video that process of that repair, strip down, you know, and doing whatever. So I think that'd be absolutely fantastic. And the rod itself is going to be sent. It's a gift. It's a friend of mine. His father is or was an avid fisherman. I believe it's his 80th birthday soon, and he lives in Australia. So what's going to happen is I'm hopefully going to get this rod, renovate it, you know, prior to that. Then my friend's going to get it boxed up in a deep frame with obviously a glass front to it and like a picture frame, and get it sent down. So it's not for use, but it just needs to look the part, and, you know, whip in all of the eyes correctly. I mean, you can buy these jigs obviously, but as I say, that's cost me nothing, just a bit of time and a bit of innovation. I've seen a few different styles online and just sort of looked and thought, what can I make, what works best for me. So there we go, guys. As always, many thanks for watching, guys. Take care, stay safe, and I'll see you on the next episode.